And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Hope everybody's doing great this morning. Good morning, Thunder Keys, Zombie Hedgehog, Petty Ruxpin. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hope everyone's doing well today. I'm fighting the fun this morning, apparently. That fun being whether or not the rat rig wants to communicate on the network. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. The rat rig enjoys communicating on the network. For whatever reason, mainsail keeps like freaking out. It won't connect to mainsail. And I spent yesterday trying to troubleshoot it. I blew away mainsail, or not mainsail, Moonraker. I blew away Moonraker, reinstalled Moonraker a couple of times. It's one of those things where if I go in and restart Moonraker, I can then get connected. So it's something going on with Moonraker, and it's not impacting all my other Clipper machines. So I don't know if it's something in Rat OS yet or not, but I'm still trying to figure it out. Hey, Von Deathheart, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Hope you're doing well today. So, by the way, Zombie, thank you for purchasing the new shirt. For those of you that had not gone and looked yet, this is the new shirt that is up on the merch store now. This is our Coffee and Lube Stream shirt. We'll be wearing this. All right, the airplane just took off. We will be wearing this, or trying to remember to wear that during all of our new printer builds or printer rebuilds where we wind up having to lubricate our rails. I don't know why that kicked in. We're having a blast here because I printed a tread last night and came in this morning and I was like, okay, the multicolor thread. So I was trying to do a multicolor tread as a special one-off for the KB3D Death Racer. It printed, not well, but it printed. And so what I decided to do is, okay, we're just going to use the dual colors and just interleave the treads because we're running out of time. I could do some other stuff later on and just bring new treads to another show. So I'm like, okay, well, I can do two treads at the same time. I've got an IDEX. It's already loaded. Let's just go. Yeah. And then you forget that you had moved the tread to the front left corner of the build plate, which means your right tool head's going into darn near the center and your left tool head's printing off the side of the printer. So we just put a tread in the middle of nowhere. However, you know, we're making treads, we're getting treads. Yeah. I don't know. The joys. And now I'm trying to reconnect so that I can start another print with a newly updated sliced file. So we're still in IDEX copy mode. Refresh that. All right. So, talking about Mrs. Dragon's Death Racer, the progress we have so far Whoops. Here is our progress so far. Yes, I'm holding this on for now. And looking at this, there might be a slight gap between the front and the rear. This is custom. Evil Diesel has been doing some modifications to the files, of course, blending some files. So I've been having to wait and print certain things after I knew what was incorporated in these two pieces. There's going to be some more added to the top, and of course I need to do the bludger. But this is what we're going to look like. We're going to have a dragonfly front end. So this has to get hand painted. We're going to have the rear tower is actually a flower pot upside down, and we've got roots coming down each side of the seat. So we're probably going to have to base this, paint this as well, because I don't have any like terracotta colored filament. And quite honestly, I can print this in a couple of hours. If I start doing color changes, this is going to take like a day to get done. So we're just going to roll with it. We'll hand paint it. It'll be fine for the time being. Hey, Bexy Beans, welcome on in. I was asking what color she would like her driver. And of course she goes, well, if the driver's head is going to be an eagle, wouldn't it be like black? And I'm like, well, no, the eagle is going to be brown, right? Bald eagle would be brown. And do I have his head up here? Can't remember. No, I left his head downstairs. Darn it. So we have our custom head for our rider that's going to be a bald eagle for reasons. And that's going to have to be painted as well. That came out very well. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I do have the iron heated up over here. We're going to come back over to this view as I'm going to do a few more heat set inserts. Like I said, I am going to have a complete second frame done up and ready. And where I was going with that was, of course, we decided we're going to do, oh, hey, Raid from Shenanigans. Welcome on in, Shenanigans. How are you doing, friend? Hope you're doing well. So we've been working on the Death Racer for Mrs. Dragon. We're working on the Death Racer for KB3D. We were trying to do something really cool with the treads. It did not work out as anticipated, wanted, however. And so we're having to shift and pivot. And speaking of shift and pivot, this should be doing a copy, and apparently it told me no, which is always nice of it. We'll have to work on that. We'll let that finish. I had been printing everything, all my TPU over on the Prusa, and for some reason out of the blue, it decided to tell me no. And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's a blob in there, something stuck. I mean, come on, we'd switched over to doing some 85A TPU. And when I figured, okay, I'm going to have to clear it, there's something wrong here. Well, I cleared it by running a lot of white PLA through it, and the white PLA was coming out clean. So I think what the issue is it finally gave up and said, no bueno, your tension's too high on the extruder, even though it ran, I don't know, 3-4 spools of TPU. I don't know. So something's up there. We'll figure that out. But welcome on in, Raiders. Shenanigans, how was your stream? Hope you had a good stream. Welcome in, Bexy Beans and Von Deathheart and the Raiders from online, Mr. Wizix, Shenanigans, of course. Let's see, who else? Anybody else? No. Did you get that belt printer figured out? Hey, Cruising Girl, the belt printer, I did get some longer bolts so that I can tension the belt that I have, which is what I want to try and do first. I'm going to have to make some more belts, but I've got one more shot at that space pattern, right? And I now have the stuff to build a second Baby Belt Pro. Let me rephrase that. No, I need the Nemo 11, whatever the motors are for the X and the Y. I'm going to need those. Once I get my hands on one of those, I'll be good to go, and I can build a second one. And I've got a few other colors. So what I may do is look at the fabric that I have and pick colors from there. Ethan is still asleep because it's only 7 a.m. here, so just you. Well, that's good, Bexy. He needs some sleep. Sleep is underrated. We're more on the laser cutter design. Awesome. Now you're kind of building and designing as you go, right? Well, I think the last thing I saw, you had the frame and the gantry going, and if you're like me, it's like, okay, this looked like it was going to work. No, it's not. So let's redesign this piece here. We love you too, Bexy. You must be absolutely nocturnal compared to Heathen. Well, probably. I mean, the time zones are a little off. Eventually, she'll just live in Canadian time zones. We are drinking some Black Rifle coffee out of our lovely Digital Dragon coffee mug. I'm going to keep plugging that merch because we have coffees. We have coffee mugs. We have water bottles. We've got shirts. We even got the new shirt that was inspired by conversations on stream with everybody and with Pez Liz, who always loves our lube stream. So we got our coffee and lube stream. We'll be having one of these when we get back from Rocky Mountain. Though the first weekend back from Rocky Mountain, I'm out at Echovate, so that's most likely going to be an all-day thing. Maybe we'll figure out a way of streaming, but we do also have the Digital Dragon logo on the sleeve, so you know whose shirt this is. But that is up on Fourth Wall now. To be fair, you're sick at the moment, so I was asleep at like 8 p.m., so you woke up at 5 a.m. Nice. And which event is that? Tell me he's a slacker. Build. Exactly. Almost finished with it. Good. Starting to brew in my new Logo DD mug. Awesome. Thanks, Zombie. So yeah, we've just been working on trying to get a second frame prep. That way, if we have a catastrophic failure of any sort during the show, we got a spare frame. And it will find a home. Not here in the Dragon Den when we get back, but it will have a home. So yeah, when we get back, we'll be doing that first weekend that we're back. We'll be doing another maker meetup at Echovate, and I've pretty much come to the determination that I'm going to be there all day. open to close. So that's where I said if we stream, we'll stream live from Echovate. If we don't stream, then sorry, we just won't be streaming that day. But I would like to stream that day. Eventually, we're going to have a streaming setup at Echovate. And it might just be that I set up a camera somewhere and just let it record during the event. And, you know, we'll stream live. We won't actually be chatting, but you can come in and basically be part of the crowd and watch as we chat, shoot the shit, and just hang out. But I will most likely be working on the Crime to Humanity. It's that printer, like, I really don't know if it's an ANET or not. It darn sure looks like it. The ANET A8s that I worked on, though, have had the LCD screen across the top that has basically like the D-pad buttons. Hey, Chewy, welcome on in. And Chewy, thank you for grabbing a shirt. I believe that was you that grabbed the other shirt. Ooh, and that was the other thing. I did attempt to set up alerts. So I did attempt to set up alerts for purchases and stuff. So I can't guarantee that I have it set up all the way. I think the alert is active in Stream Elements. It's just whether or not I have it in my actual Twitch overlay yet. But everything should be prepped and ready to do the screen alerts, at least. Yeah, so that part's done. This goes over here. Holy crap. I'm like, yay, that failed. Hopefully I didn't just cook filament in the hot end over there. That failed because my spool got completely hung up and jammed. So we'll have to see if we just completely hose that or not. Yes. Love printing TPU. Great thing. The local event and they were struggling, so you offered your experience. Okay, cool. You should come out to North Carolina and help do something here in North Carolina. Okay, so if you remember right where we left off, we had a drag racer that we needed to extend the cables on. And our drag racer is now looking like this. We're getting really close. We still need to print well, I've got a TPU front wing. We need to print the TPU rear wings. And of course, what am I having issues with right now? TPU. I do have servo cables that I purchased. These servo cables are now long enough that they can pretty much go the entire length of the drag racer because, well, that's good. So one side has a locking clip, and I'm thinking that side's probably going to go back here, so it'll be easier to take off. And the other side currently has a male connector with female pins. We can cut the end off and repin it to a female connector and then connect it down at the front end down there. This one goes back here, and the one in the front, we could probably put some super glue across the connection to make sure that it doesn't come loose if we need to. I don't mind having some extra cable in here. It's more of okay, yeah, that works. It's more a case of is it secure or does it come loose? Because we also don't want to be driving, have it start going off, and then cannot course correct because we've lost the servo. So good morning, Royal Nomi. How are you? Hope you are doing well today. So what we need to do is we're going to leave this side the way it is. We'll take this side, cut it off, and repin this using, well, darn it. We'll repin this side using a female housing with male connectors. Yes. So we need our DuPont connector set. Let me go grab that. And these little connector sets are going to come in handy because we're going to be basically creating a go kit. I bought a bunch of different kits and stuff so that we can make go kits to both take to shows as well as to have for the various events that we attend now. Do I not have, that's a 4-pin. Oh, those are 3-pin. They were just sitting next to each other so they didn't look like 3 pins. Okay, so there we go. We have that. I'm going to set myself up with a seat. Get some of these extra parts that we're building. Like I said, by the end of it, we're going to have a second, or actually, I guess that'll be a third Death Racer that we can put on display. We need strippers. We'll need those crimpers. Doing the DuPonties, right? Yeah. So we need those crimpers. We need the other crimpers as well. So yeah, we're gonna have JST crimp sets, barrel crimp set. I'll grab one of the 3 or 4 sets of DuPonts that I have. So we'll have just about every type of connector. We'll have our soldering irons and stuff in there. So we should be good to go for any type of repair, whether it's on a death racer, a drag racer, or what have you. Or a printer for that matter. So I am going to cut this a little bit so that I have something to go by as far as the order of the colors, right? Because that is going to be critical. You want to make sure that power goes to power, signal to signal, and so forth. And the one thing I'm looking at is these are some thicker wires. So we might have some issues getting them in the DuPont connector. So we'll have to see. The Zombie, do you have any projects that you're still working on for the show? Hopefully you're going to tell me you have a lot, because that way I don't feel bad. The 3D sets truck, yeah. You're gonna have. Are you gonna bring that to the show? Because that would be kind of cool to have at the table. and Zombie, do you all have a, am I seeing that you have a sponsored table for the show? Zombie has plenty. How's it going, Liz? Hope you're doing well today. Did you see the new shirt, Liz? Zombie and Maker Chips are sponsored and back to back. Gotcha. Yeah, I saw K2 was over there as well, so I'm assuming that's where I'll probably see you hanging out a lot. Sweet. Yes, Bang merch. And Liz, you probably like the new shirt since it was semi-inspired by you and some of the conversations that we have had over the years of streaming here. Need that as a sticker too? Yep, we could do that. We could do that. I can get stickers going for those. Don't know if I'll get them in time for the show, but we can definitely do that. Yeah. And then the crime against humanity that I'm working on, because that is about the best way that I can describe that printer. Yeah, it's a good example of why you must lubricate your rails and your rods and your bearings. The when I pulled the bearings off of that printer, I literally threw them straight in the garbage. I mean, that was the best place for them, was straight in the garbage. The rails were, and that's what I was afraid of. The rails were bone dry, and the bearings were bone dry. The rails were rusted and had, we'll say, like divots in them. It was just bad. Darn it, I cut that connector off, and now I'm going to have problems getting these to lock. Because the wire is, the sheathing on the wire is the issue. The wires themselves are kind of thick, so they won't go in the housing cleanly. Like, I can get the part that has the whatchamacallit, the little wings that clip around the insulation, that part goes in no problem. It's the actual insulation past that where the wires are kind of thick. this might be where I wind up just saying the hell with it and cutting it off and then just soldering the wires together on the servo and just making it one big one if I can't get these to latch. Yep, and I'm not getting these to latch. Why do things insist on being difficult? Yep, looks like we're just going to cut and solder. Just make the, we'll just make the wire one long one. That's okay. That works too. It just means oofda. It just means that we're going to have to figure out how to make that work. Because that's up there, this is down here. I'll have to cut these wires. We'll do the solder job down here at this end. And we'll use our shrink down solder connectors, because that will make this job easier. And easy works for me right now. Oh, where'd they go? There they are. How's it going, Will Collin? Or Wick? Yeah, well, DuPonts aren't bad. It's just, like I said, in this case, it is the size of the wire sheathing that's kind of biting me in the butt. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is the wire sheathing here. If I went with a thinner gauge wire, like the rest of the servo wire is, it would be no problem. But that is not what I'm dealing with. So let's see, I should be able to pop these out relatively easily. And I realize you guys can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm depinning a DuPont connector. Your text-based image. Okay. And I bring you guys up here so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe. There we go. We're precariously hanging our racer up here. We're going to get our wire ready on both ends. We're going to drop this wire 2 or 3 times probably. Hold you up there. The good news is, because the wire is so thick over here with the connectors I'm using, it'll hold itself in place and stay there. Now the fun part we might run into is just the proximity to our printed parts. The printed parts are PETG, or yeah, they are PETG. So we shouldn't have that big of a deal with it, but we will want to aim our heat not directly on the part. Goes there. Goes there. And I'm gonna whimper and cry as I sit here and go, yeah, I should probably take this off for protection. So 3 screws from the bottom and then 2 screws from the side. We'll take that cover off. That'll give us better access to the wires so that we're not melting things. Thanks for the lurk, zombie. Yeah, DuPont's not my, they're not a bad connector, but they're not my most favorite connector. They definitely can be more of a pain in the butt. And like I said, what I'm doing is you've got to take the front wheel assembly off in order to take the front edge cover here off, the front body panel off. Get that off. Now you have access to the wires a little bit easier. So this will give me the ability to have more access to my wire when I go to heat shrink here. Break this down, we'll heat up and melt the solder ball in the middle, or the solder ring. I'll make this one continuous wire. Let that cool off. You do have an opportunity while it's cooling off to kind of bend it into a shape or try and keep it straight. Do our best to keep it straight while it cools down. Go. Now pick the next wire and rinse and repeat. Ugh. Doing the red wire next, so if anyone has a throat recommendation, please DM me. Yeah, that's the best thing I will say in a piece or in a PG appropriate way would be some type of lozenge, especially if you're going to be talking. I know at all the shows that I go to, we wind up just getting some cough drops or some hard candy, and it gives you something to suck on that will help you produce saliva throughout the show, and that way your mouth and throat doesn't dry out and cause you even more problems. You built a lot of RC cars, yeah. Hot toddies, there you go. Add ginger. Gotta go dust off the 2.4 so you can print the body parts. You let the 2.4 sit there and get dusty. Hey, Daddy Wisey, how's it going? I've got to print one of your chip caddies, but then again, I also have to print a bunch of chips. So I'm not going to try and do any of that before the show because I'm already starting to lose my ever-loving mind and don't need to add another project to the mix yet. And it might not happen for Murph either because we're going to come back from RMRRF. That first weekend that we're back, I'm hosting another maker meetup at RMRRF. And then after that, we've got like what, 2 weeks to Murph? So we'll have to see. I might have to have printers going at the house and over at RMRRF trying to get all of this stuff going. Come on, solder. All your printers have been very dusty lately. We'll clean them off, wipe down the rails. Once again, take a little bit of like 3-in-1 oil or something, wipe the rails down before you go and use them to get off any large amounts of dust and put a little bit of coat of oil on them again. Yeah, the printers I've been working on down at RMRRF that were donated, like the Optimus P1. The Optimus P1, the x-axis sounds great moving to the right. You move it to the left, and it sounds like it's missing about 4 balls and probably dry. So I have a feeling that's another printer that sat in storage for a little bit because they didn't know what else to do with it. And it's not been cared for. And when you have, I don't know, MGN 16 high wind rails that you don't care for, it's going to get expensive. I have not even looked. I mean, the rails themselves are fine. They're not rusty. But if we have to replace that carriage, it's not going to be a cheap carriage, number one. And then number two, we're going to have to tear the entire X-axis apart to replace the carriage, at which point we might as well, at that point, just say the heck with it and do a tool head swap, which is one of the things that we're wanting to do. A 600 by 600 by meter tall print volume, and they're running a 0.4 nozzle. Makes 0 sense. That thing screams for a tube. We're just going to have to design a tool head for it.